All right, so thank you everyone for sharing which gator you were feeling like today. This is actually our last El Paso Giving Day workshop as part of our workshop series for this year. And as I sort of talked about before, this workshop is going to provide you all with the ultimate Giving Day checklist and sort of provide those insights on the final things you want to be thinking about as you are approaching your Giving Day campaign. We're 2 weeks away. It's going to move quickly. And so we really just want to empower everyone and give them the tools and knowledge to be successful. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our introductions. And we have two really amazing speakers today that have been very instrumental to my success. They serve on our El Paso Giving Day committee. They've both been members for, I'd say, over 2 years now. But first and foremost, I want to introduce Alicia. So Alicia Rascon, she's waving hi. She is the development manager at the Young Women's Preparatory Network. And she has over 15 years of experience working in the nonprofit field and has also volunteered a lot of her time for numerous service organizations and nonprofits. She graduated with a multimedia journalism degree, like me, from the University of Texas at Austin, and also holds an MPA from the University of Texas at El Paso. So, Alicia, do you want to add anything?
That's a great introduction. Excited for El Paso Giving Day and excited to meet all of you all. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And then, of course, we have Isidro. Isidro Flores is a proud born and raised El Pasoan. He received his BA in Organizational and Corporate Communications and an MBA from the University of Texas at El Paso. He began his time with NAMI El Paso in 2015 and has held various roles within the organization since joining. He now proudly serves as the executive director, and he actually has a really big event this weekend. But I'll hand it over to Isidro in case you have anything else to add.
No, thank you, Andrea. Yes, we're preparing for NAMI Walk this weekend. I hope it doesn't rain Saturday morning. But nonetheless, I'm excited for El Paso Giving Day, the campaign, early giving starting, and everything coming soon. Excited to chat with you all today. If you have any questions as you are making final preparations, please bring them forward and be happy to answer them.
Thank you. So we're going to go ahead and go over today's content. So we're sort of going full circle, and we're going to talk about, planning and assessment. We're going to go into a little bit more detail about your all's profile pages. We want to review peer-to-peer fundraising again because this is a very important tool as we are thinking about Giving Day. Also provide some information about your all's marketing strategy, which was the focus of our previous workshop. And then also talking about donor retention and how to recap or recapping your Giving Day. So I'll hand it over to Isidro to go over this slide. And like he mentioned, if you have questions or comments, just feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Yeah, so first off, again, planning and assessment. This is, if you've been planning, you may have been planning and getting ready for El Paso Giving Day over the past maybe few months, maybe a few weeks, and we're kind of gearing on and we're kind of heading into El Paso Giving Day full force this month. So it's really important, to figure out what's your timeline look like? Who are you reaching out on early giving? What are you spending each day of early giving doing? What is your message on social media? What are you going to be doing the day of? And how are you going to reach your goal? And what metrics are you tracking? What metrics are important to your organization? For NAMI El Paso, since Giving Day is so close to our walk, our metric and what we were looking for in El Paso Giving Day is to gain new donors who we missed during walk season. And kind of bring them in and get those who didn't donate during the walk and kind of bring them in. So we're tracking Is your organization looking for new donors, and are you trying to engage new donors to Giving Day? Is this a campaign where you're trying to get big dollar donations, big amounts? Is that the metric you're tracking in terms of your success? What are you going to say after Giving Day that says, the successful Giving Day, we had X amount of donors, or we had X amount of money via average amount of X donation? So those are important. And what are your theme? What are your key messages, and what is your brand? So what of your organization are you putting forward to help people understand what your mission is and why should they give to you? Is your El Paso Giving Day on material on brand to your organization? Are your key messages there? One of the things, again, I'll use NAMI El Paso just as an example, is I know that if someone donates $50 for a class, they've purchased a binder and educational material for a family who's supporting someone with a mental health condition. What is $50 buying your organization? What is $100 buying your organization? We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. And targeting, what is your goal? What is your big fundraising goal? Who is your target audience again? Are you looking for new donors? Are you engaging and trying to get reoccurring donors from past Paso Giving Days mainly, and then some new donors? Are you looking for new donors in different arenas? Maybe you have a new program and you're trying to get funding for that program and engage outreach in that program. And that's where your messaging and target audience looks like. And then roles and responsibilities. Some of us, small teams, maybe some of us are big teams. And so divvying it up between ourselves and our volunteers, who's in charge of social media, who's in charge of, going out and reaching out to new donors, who's in charge of thank you cards, who's in charge of calling, various things, looking at what your game plan is for Giving Day. Now is a great time, if you haven't already, to start looking.
So a big step in getting ready for El Paso Giving Day is creating your profile page. So this gives you an example of what the profile page looks like. At the very top, you have an opportunity to post a photo or logo. So we definitely encourage you all to customize that into something that represents your organization, whether it's your logo or a photo of your programs. That's a great way for people to visually identify you all. You're also going to put an introduction. So this can be your mission statement, your vision statement, overview of what the organization is all about. In the blue boxes, you have an opportunity to identify different donation items and different donation amounts. So you can say $10 at our organization will help buy this. $25 will cover this. So it helps people realize how their gift is really going to make an impact. You also, in the causes area, you can pick up to 3 causes, and this definitely helps folks in identifying your organization. They can do searches in the search bar, and you'll want to pick the top 3 that your organization identifies, and that helps folks find you all. There's also opportunities to add a story. So this could be a success story, a story of your programs in action and how it helps your clients. You'll also want to include a goal amount. So you'll want to work with your team to identify what is your target of how much you all hope to gain from this fundraising campaign. What is your goal? You can include that as well. You'll also have a URL, and there's also opportunities to upload videos as well. So here are some tips and tricks to enhance your profile page. So a lot of folks are very visual, so definitely pictures of your programs in action, pictures of some of the individuals that benefit from your program are wonderful to just help people connect to the people behind your organization. So it's not just the name of the organization, but they can really see how you all make a difference. You'll want to quantify the impact. So letting folks know how many people you serve. If you donate $50, this is going to help us provide snacks for X amount of kids, for example. So you'll want to let folks know how many individuals you hope to reach through donations. You can also include testimonials. So this can be success stories. It can also be testimonials, direct quotes from individuals who have benefited from your program. It can be quotes from like volunteers from your organization as well. And definitely stories that highlight how donations impact your organization, how they directly make a difference. You'll want to have a strong call to action, and then you can also include links to your social media as well as your website. And then here are a couple examples. So with NAMI, you can see they uploaded their logo. I also really like how they included a video. So you can definitely insert like a video from YouTube, and that's a great way for people to get more information about your organization. At the top, they highlight a little bit about how donations go a long way in continuing their work for mental health education. It highlights some of the different programs, like it supports courses and presentations. And then they also included their goal for the campaign, as well as how donations make a difference. So you can see like what $10 can do, $50 can show mental health matters, $25, $100. So this is one example. And then we also included ours from the Young Women's Preparatory Network. We included a photo of some of the young women that are involved in our program. We also just included highlights of our history, as well as details about our different programs. You'll see at the bottom of the page, it also includes fundraisers. So we definitely encourage you all to take advantage of the peer-to-peer functionality of the website. That's a great way to enhance your fundraising. And you can see here our supporters uploaded photos of themselves and have their fundraising pages linked to that. And then we also identified how different donations will make a difference with the different boxes as well.
Thank you, Alicia. So I just wanted to pause because I do see a quick question from Sandra that I'm happy to answer. So the photo, in order to add a photo, there's one location, so it can be either the logo or the photo of somebody or something that represents your organization. And that's what you're going to see here. And so for the video component, I think this exists in the story section of your edit profile page. And what you want to do is not paste the hyperlink, but YouTube primarily provides an embedded code. And so that is the code that you want to paste into your stories section. That way it's clickable and viewable in your page as opposed to going to an external link. And so Sandra, if you have any questions or problems with that, just let me know. But hopefully that answers your question. I do see your comment. So I have had other individuals reach out about a section for gallery photos. And so I love the idea, and I really hope that that's something I can implement for next year's profile pages. Good question.
All right, so Alicia alluded to it, the peer-to-peer fundraising. And so you saw on the Young Women's Preparatory Leadership Networks page on the bottom, they have their fundraisers. And so these are individuals who have set up, or the organization has set up a page for them using individual donation pages. And so peer-to-peer fundraising is huge. Peer-to-peer fundraising is a big way to help have your ambassadors, have your board members, have dedicated volunteers who are helping you spread your message, help, bring the organization's work even on a more personal level, so that they can go out and reach from their networks to help donate. And so Andrea is going to send out this PowerPoint. If you aren't familiar with the peer-to-peer feature on the back end, it is a very awesome feature. Definitely, if you do anything, I would say make sure your board members have an individual donation page. So that way each of your board members have a link. They can say, hey, I'm raising money for our Paso Giving Day campaign, please donate. These individual donation pages can also have stories of the individual. And so maybe, again, I'm going to use the NAMI El Paso example. Is maybe I have a board member who supports someone with a mental health condition. They took one of our classes. They thought it was so helpful, and now they're helping us raise money as our board member. And so that again shows a connection. If you look here to the very right, the supporter donates, and the supporter uses their donation page to find peers within their network to help donate, and then the network. And so it really helps expand, helps the sixth degree of separation is if you know someone, I know someone who knows that someone. And so it's very important, maybe figure out first your board members, maybe you want to have your development staff have an individual donation page. Then maybe your volunteers, you have a volunteer who's always sharing your stuff on social media, reach out and say, hey, can I set up an individual donation page for you so you can help us on El Paso Giving Day? You're a big supporter and think you can help us out. And encourage that participation. I know sometimes the peer-to-peer feature, it seems like a monster, it's scary, but again, the reward and the return of investment and spending that time can be huge. Um, and I know it personally from NAMI El Paso. Our biggest fundraiser is a peer-to-peer fundraiser. And so using peers and using that community message really helps them. And then, provide resources, provide social media images for your individuals who have an individual donation page. Provide El Paso Giving Day, the marketing material that El Paso Giving Day has online. Have them share a video, have them share a message with their link, provide samples to them. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It could be on an iPhone straight to Instagram and caption, there goes the link. On Facebook, there goes the link. Check in on each of your peers, each of your fundraisers who fundraised for you. Give them thanks, show your gratitude. Obviously, they have shown that they're a wonderful ambassador. Keep them involved, keep them engaged year long. And also, their supporters network and people who donated to their donation page, they are now new donor prospects for the future. And be sure to show thanks to them. Thank you for donating to so and so's individual donation page. We really appreciate it. Let me tell you a little bit more about our work and what you're supporting. And using that message and cultivating those donors is wonderful. And so there's also a lot of resources online for peer-to-peer fundraising. If you're looking to find out more, just Google it. There's a peer-to-peer fundraising network. There's programs and so many examples. Again, if you have the time, if you can dedicate some time to making sure your board members have individual donation pages and high ambassadors within your organization, the benefits can be really useful. And if there's any questions on this, you can reach out to Andrea. You can also reach out to me personally. Again, I am a big proponent of peer-to-peer fundraising because you don't become the only fundraiser. You build a network of fundraisers.
Thank you, Isidro. I'll also add for everyone watching, and hopefully you've had time to look at the website and all of our list of prizes, which we'll also talk about at the end of the presentation. But there is a peer-to-peer superstar prize. So this is a great incentive for you to really build that network that Isidro is referring to. Essentially, the organization that raises the most amount of donations from all peer-to-peer fundraisers will win that extra incentive prize. And so I think it's really important, it's very easy to ask your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, excuse me, and build that network to ensure that you all get extra funding and extra resources to support your funds.
And then going into the marketing strategy, this is a big piece of El Paso Giving Day. El Paso Giving Day is an online day of giving. Obviously, there are chances to accept cash and checks, and that's all on the Giving Day. But again, mainly we want to channel all of our donations on the website. And so we want to make sure that our communication post and our branding is good to go leading into El Paso Giving Day. And so remember, humanize your organization. Why should people donate to your mission? What's the why there? What's your why? What's your organization's why? And help brand that message and help help people understand. You don't want to go into long-winded and start giving the stats. We gave 10,000 bags of food last year. We gave 20,000. Okay, well, maybe make this story a little bit more personal. We have a family person who shared with us that this meal that we gave them was their first meal in weeks, and we helped them, and they're now on their well way of picking things up and moving forward. Maybe taking a class in your organization, this person found it so beneficial, they're now a teacher of your program. So now they're so involved in your program, so helping other people. Really humanize it, focus on the people, make that connection, and promote thought and giving. And the importance of why should individuals give to your organization. And that'll lead into your communications plan. Andrea, I'll show a little example a little bit later. But what does your calendar look like? Do you have a calendar of when post 1 is going up, post 2 is going up, post 3? That can sound like a daunting task, but I can guarantee you it's a lot better than just waiting these days and be like, okay, I'm gonna post now. I'm gonna post now. If you have a plan, it helps you, see it there, big picture. You can move it around if you need it. It can be a living document. It helps you ease into Giving Day. And you'll want to start posting now. Start posting and getting uh, your followers and your supporters ready. Hey, Giving Day is coming up. Are you ready? Are you excited? Early giving starts, and giving the countdown, and then day of. What are you going to post the day of? Really move around and provide videos, provide pictures if you can, and then post event just thanking everybody, recognizing if you get big dollar donations, maybe making a single post and saying thank you so much to um, the Macias family for donating $1,000 to our campaign, making a little post and showing gratitude. There's a question that came in: how much of all the communication methods do you do during the early week versus just on Giving Day? Um, it just really depends on capacity. Really depends on where you're communicating. Do you find more return in emails? Do you find more return on Instagram, on social media networks? Doing a mix. You definitely want to use early giving as sort of that lead up. And so there'll definitely be a lot of posting, kind of reminding people or getting ready and giving. And early day of, you really maybe posting, looking at strategizing around power hours. And so um, you want to post more leading up to the 12 p.m. power hour. That's still power. The 12 p.m. power hour. Maybe you want to post during the night, get that power out. And really just looking at what your goals are and really putting that into reflection of your communication method. And so, it, you know, there, people would like to say, oh, post are read most in the morning at 9:15 a.m. Well, that's not necessarily true. The algorithms on these social media networks are so different and they're so dynamic. It just depends on the engagement you're building. So really planning that out and saying, you know what, I think I posted this post a while ago and we posted it this time and it went really well. Maybe that's a good sign that that's a good time to post for your followers, for your group of supporters. And again, if you can and if you have your capacity, you want to provide a variety of those methods. Social media, what social media accounts work for your demographic, work for your group. If you're working with a younger demographic, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's TikTok, maybe a more millennial demographic, you're looking Facebook, Instagram, maybe you're a professional organization, so LinkedIn is your best bet to really engage supporters. And then mailers and e-blasts. If you have a list that you send thank you cards to, maybe now's a good time to send a postcard reminding them of Paso Giving Day if mailers have been historically your best bet. E-blast, use your email supporter list. Email all your supporters, get ready, remind them what's happening, these your newsletters. And then again, phone and email are a little bit more time consuming. But again, the rewards and the fruitfulness of those can be very beneficial. Calling all of the donors from last year, hey, you donated to our El Paso Giving Day campaign in 2021. We're so excited to be participating again, and we'd be so happy if we can have your support again. Consider donating, and reminding them of the link and all the information. And so I'm gonna see if Alicia has anything she also wants to add and share with the marketing and communication strategy as well.
I just wanted to also emphasize what you said in terms of a lot of folks use this as an opportunity to get new donors. So this is also just a great education opportunity for you to inform the community about the wonderful work that you're doing. Because this is a peer-to-peer model, this is also a great way to have your volunteers, your staff members, even if they're staff members that are more programmatic focused, they can use this as an opportunity to communicate to their networks, to their friends and family, to share more of the work that they're doing, to bring more individuals on board as fundraisers as well as sponsors. And you're wanting to make sure that the post communication is ready as well. So once people donate, you want to make sure that they just donate once and never hear from you again. You want to make sure that they continue to hear from you, learn more about you, and have opportunities to engage with you as well.
And this is the example that I was talking about, a calendar. You don't have to use Airtable. It could be an Excel sheet, a Google sheet. It can just be on a Word document. Really planning out your day. You know, on the first day of early giving, this is what we're going to post. On the second day, we're going to post this on Facebook. We're going to post this on Instagram. And just laying it out again, this will really help alleviate that stress leading into it, alleviate the guesswork going into Giving Day. Remember that on Giving Day website, there's a toolkit for the brand guidelines and templates for Giving Day. And so you don't have to go out and really make new items. You can really just use Giving Day stuff and mold it into your organization, like the little support Amistad from El Paso Giving Day there on the top. There's a bunch of free resources as well. If your organization uses Canvas, and Canvas has been popping up in popularity. It's a free social media graphic creator. Really has templates already there for you. You just kind of mold it into what fits best for you. The El Paso speech and hearing language, very simple. You know, they're saying they're participating. You see the logo there. They know where to go, and in the caption they can provide more information. And again, switching it up, also video. Videos are a fun way of engaging and creating content. And so planning that out can be a really big important step for you leading into Giving Day.
Yeah, so like Isidro said, I just wanted to add, it can be very basic. An Excel sheet works perfectly to coordinate all of your content. Airtable is a resource that a lot of organizations that they use, that we also use internally. And then also just making another point that there are resources in the Giving Day website. These are some of the examples of templates that you can pull and download. And then we have all of our icons, brand guidelines, and other toolkits. So you can customize your social media posts or announcements in a way that makes sense for your brand and organization. These are actually 2 recent posts that Isidro referred to. So people are moving and they're moving, and I would just really encourage, that you're targeting in a strategic way and hitting all of those bases and methods of communication to get those donors and funds for your organization.
100%. And we want to touch on the fundraising cycle. You may be familiar with this. El Paso Giving Day tends to be a little bit more condensed version of the overall fundraising cycle, but definitely molded into the way you're soliciting and getting donors. So we'll start here with the left in the beginning, the identification of donor by the organization. And so looking, for example, if you're an animal-based organization, finding donors and individuals who have a passion or love or are connected to animals in some sort of way. If you're an organization focusing on mental health or substance use, finding donors who are interested in making sure that there's more services or that there's advocacy, that there's awareness around. Maybe you're an educational organization, and maybe you're trying to find donors who want to help further education for women or further education for various groups or provide organizations that provide scholarships. So looking at the identification of those donors, listing them out, and kind of gearing it up. When we go into qualification, that one really is looking at and seeing, are we a right fit for this donor, and is this donor a right fit for us? And does this mission make sense to them? And really, what's their history of giving? Have they given to other organizations? Have they given to us before? Can we grow them to be a bigger a donor? And just kind of getting a little background on this person. How well are they connected to your mission? A lot of the donors in Nami El Paso that we get, they have a family member who has a mental health condition. And so we know that they're really passionate about this and they're looking to support programming and services. And we appreciate their support and their support to make sure that we can provide services to individuals like their family members. When you go into strategy development, this is again looking and thinking about how are you going to make that ask? How are you going to reach out to this person and kind of game planning it out and developing that strategy to bring this donor in, have them support your mission and work together. This could also taking a community-centered approach and letting the individual know that we're in this community together and we're working side by side for the same mission. When you're getting into cultivation, this is really, again, where you're taking more time to engage your donor. You know, you're talking to them and saying, hey, oh my gosh, we just did this wonderful program. This is how successful it was. This is some of the impact stories that we're getting. It's so wonderful. Or you're sharing new information you're getting about your program. And kind of just engaging them or checking in on them. Hey, oh my gosh, thank you for so much coming to our event the other day. What did you think? How's it going? This is where you really want to build a relationship and kind of, kind of get a feel for them and find ways to engage them. The solicitation, that's the ask. That's you're making the ask of saying, hey, would you please consider becoming a recurring donor for $20 a month? For Paso Giving Day, would you consider giving on early giving, $50 to help our cause? Would you be looking to give $100? You'll kind of know from qualification area of their ability to give, and it'll help you make you feel comfortable with your ask. Then you go, when you're looking at acknowledgement and recognition, you're really looking at what this is the thank you, and this is the continuing that relationship afterwards. Acknowledge their donation. Thank you so much for your $50 donation on El Paso Giving Day. We appreciate it. Your donation is going to go so far in providing XYZ. Thank you so much. Recognition, and again, this could be post-event of the social media post, can be a couple months later, saying, hey, thank you again so much for your donation on Giving Day. These are some new things that have happened since we've received our donations on Giving Day. Thank you so much. Providing them, some organizations, if you're a big organization, do a yearly annual report, and in their annual report, they're listing their donors. Maybe you can, if you're a small organization, condense this and make it a thank you Christmas email. Just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody and a big shout out to our supporters in 2020. And you're listing everybody out in recognition. On the bottom, donor data maintenance. If you, again, depending on how big, this can be an Excel sheet, this could be a Google sheet, this can, maybe you have a donor database software system. Just want to make sure that you keep on top of that donor data. You're able to retain them, fantastic. If you notice they're not reading your emails, they're not answering your calls anymore, they're not expressing interest, maybe they don't need to be on your donor list anymore. So this is a big fundraising cycle. This fundraising cycle can really take place outside of Giving Day, really over a span of a couple months, couple weeks. But condensing into Giving Day, again, taking into getting ready for these next couple of weeks, moving fast through the left side. This is our donors. We know they're dedicated to our mission. We want to bring them in, kind of engage them. Now we're going to make our ask on Giving Day to help support them, and then taking time afterwards to acknowledge, thank you, and build that relationship.
Thank you, Isidro. And I'll just add, for our organizations that are participating for the 7th year, the 3rd year, however long it's been, or maybe you're a brand new organization, hopefully you all have had a chance or have a strategy in collecting that data when it comes to donors. Specific to El Paso Giving Day, if you're a prior organization, you can still download and export your donor list from last year. And so you've sort of already cultivated or developed this first step. And so now it's more, like Isidro mentioned, working on the latter half of it all to bring them back as recurring donors. And, one of the things that's really important for El Paso Giving Day is that you want to retain these donors beyond El Paso Giving Day and keep them as a ambassador or supporter for your organization for months and years to come. So thinking about this fundraising cycle is really important as we also talk about donor retention, which is something Alicia is going to talk about next.
So that's definitely a perfect segue. So like Isidro mentioned, you don't finish just by you've identified the donors, you've made the ask and they've donated, but that is not the end of the fundraising cycle. Acknowledgement and recognition is super important. So that's what we'll talk a little bit about for donor retention. So you want to thank your donors for their gifts. There's multiple ways that you can do that. One, there is an automated message that's going to come directly from the system. You can also do a big mail merge and send out letters. You can include testimonials in there, include more information about how their gift is going to make a difference. You can also have handwritten cards. I've gathered with some of my board members where I have them sign a lot of different cards and then we do a big mailing. If the list is big and maybe you can't do it for everyone, you can decide if there's like a certain benchmark, like everyone who donates over X amount is going to get a handwritten card. I've also done like think-a-thons where you divide the list of all the phone numbers amongst some of your board members and you just make a short phone call, thanking individuals for their gifts, letting them know how much it's appreciated and how it's going to make an impact in your organization. Of course, you can send out emails. Also remember that Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so it doesn't have to all happen. So you can do a thank you right after El Paso Giving Day, but it doesn't have to end there, right? You can follow up later in the future and continue thanking them and report back and let them know how their gift has actually made an impact, a couple months down the line. You can also recognize your donors in your newsletter. If there's some donors that gave at a significant level, you can do a spotlight on them in your newsletter. You can also just do a big thank you to everyone who donated for El Paso Giving Day and highlight all of those names. You can do shout outs on social media as well. That can be a group thank you for everyone that contributed. It can be a thank you reporting back, like we were able to raise X amount thanks to everyone's donation. When you're thanking folks, you can also thank some of your peer-to-peer fundraisers. So oftentimes they also are donors, they personally give as well as helping you fundraise. So it's great to do shout outs for them as well and recognize them. And you can always include them in your annual report as well. So the goal is definitely to seek lifelong donors and not just a single gift. So thinking of different ways that you can continue to engage with these individuals, identifying which ones you want to continue cultivating, meet with individually, invite to your special events. So making sure if you're having fundraisers in the future or events that you're adding them to your invitation list, that they're definitely a part of your CRM, that they're a part of your email newsletter. That way they get your email blast, or if you still do a printed one, that they're part of that mailing list as well. So you'll want to make sure all of that information is imported into whatever system you're using for your management of all your contacts. So you'll definitely want to be keeping your donors engaged and informed. You'll want to be sharing highlights of your programs. You'll want to be sharing some success stories, spotlights of some of your clients, what's been working well for them, how your program is really making an impact. And then you can also highlight different volunteer opportunities and networks. So for example, in the past, I've had some folks that maybe make a smaller donation 1 year during El Paso Giving Day. And then the next year, I send an email blast to previous donors, letting them know that there's an opportunity for them to become a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So even donors can step up into that role as well. So they can volunteer to be that ambassador for you as well. So finding opportunities to continue engaging them as a volunteer is definitely a great idea. So this is an example of the thank you email that will come directly from the system. So you can personalize it, put what email address you would like to be the main contact for that. You can personalize the subject, and then you can include the message. There's opportunities for you to like do things like bolding if you want to add bullets. So here you can definitely let them know how their gift is going to make a difference and how much it is appreciated by your team. This is also an opportunity for you to continue telling folks your story of how their gift is going to make a difference, like what program it's going to impact directly. So upon each donation, they'll receive an automatic receipt from the El Paso Giving Day team. And then you can also customize this message as a thank you email on your profile page as well.
So sorry, I was like unmuting. Metrics again, recapping and taking a look at what we talked about today. Your Giving Day recap. Once you're done with Giving Day, looking at what you were able to accomplish, writing it down, having a meeting with your team who supported you, your board members, what went well, what didn't go well. And so maybe you're looking at the revenue. Did you hit your goal? How far away were you from your goal? Or how much did you exceed your goal? Number of gifts. Again, if your goal was to get X amount of new donors, where were we? We got X amount of new donors, 10 donors were returning donors, um, and looking at that and seeing where that is in the grand scheme of things. And your average gift size, calculating that. That's a very important because you get to know where your donors were with Giving Day, how much they were giving, and where they landed, and how successful you were in putting that message out. Response and click rates for each channel used. Again, if you're familiar with the backend, it could get very daunting as well, but looking at what posts did well, what posts got more likes than the other posts, what posts got shared more. If you turned your accounts into business accounts, there's a lot of analytics that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn will give you that you can use and kind of use not only for future El Paso Giving Days, but for future social media campaigns or communication campaigns. Retention rate of last year's campaign donors. That's a good way of seeing the return of Giving Day donors. You know, X amount returned from last year, and we were able to bring them back. How much did their donations increase? Did they stay the same? New donors who upgraded their gifts, their demographics. Again, there is some demographic information that's asked of donors on the back end. Maybe you find you have younger donors or donors within millennial, Gen Z. Where are your donors lying? Where have you built those connections? And again, this is a important part of your goals. If you're trying to bring in Gen Z, were you successful? And how successful are you? Staying within the millennials, that's your group. And return of investment. You know, maybe some organizations have some ability to spend some dollars on advertising and some pushing for El Paso Giving Day and printing material and getting things together. What's the return of investment on that, and how did that go? And so just evaluating that, keeping that, and just not saying, "Oh, yeah, we're done with the Giving Day. We got $10,000." Learn from this experience. Learn from this campaign. Put it into work on your next fundraising event. Doesn't have to be El Paso Giving Day, but also use it for next year when you return on Giving Day and set your plan up for next year a little bit. So you want to make sure you recap and evaluate them. It's super important. I know sometimes we're like, oh my God, the event's done. I'm going to go to sleep for 10 days and then focus on the next project. And sometimes we don't do that recap. We don't do that constructive criticism. Very important to grow as part of organization.
So before we sort of talk about this slide, I just wanted to pause and see if anyone had any questions. We've provided a lot of information and we were really trying to think about, you know, the very core things that we're needing to accomplish from the get-go, and then work all the way through the process of Giving Day and beyond. So I do want to talk a little bit with our speakers about their experiences and strategies when it comes to prizes. And we'll sort of talk about what prizes we have available. But before we move on, does anyone have any comments or things to share about their campaign or questions that they want to get clarified? And I'll just, you know, if you want to drop it in the chat or raise your hand, maybe just for a minute. If not, I'll move on. So everyone feels good. They've hit all the targets. They've hit all the marks. It's some smiles. Hopefully those are positive and not nervous ones. All right. So if there's not any questions, I do kind of very quickly want to talk about prizes. So we have different categories of prizes available as part of Giving Day. I've been able to meet a lot of you at our pop-up events at Kimber Scott, Chipotle, and Chico Relic. And so those were all some raffle prizes that we had available for you all to win. In addition to those raffle prizes, we have special prizes, including our matching fund incentive. And so we have that available. We also have early giving day prizes, which can include the organization that receives the first donation as part of Giving Day. I'll also add that we have an event next week with Las Palmas at Alamo Draft House. And so you have the opportunity to win a prize of $500 sponsored by that organization. And so all you have to do is come by and attend. That is an event that is working in conjunction with our Gator Team pitch competition. But it's a very easy way to get engaged, further build your network, and also win some extra prize money. We also, of course, have our Power Hour prizes and Philanthropic photo prizes. So we have 5 different Power Hours that you can sort of strategize for, and sort of, relate that to your communications plan and your strategy for outreach. Philanthropic photo, hopefully you've been able to build some content by attending all of our pop-up events. So you can recycle those photos and submit them to win those philanthropic photo prizes as well. So, yes, Victoria, we do have a schedule of all of the Power Hours listed on the website. So if you visit elpasogivingday.org, we have a tab dedicated to all of the prizes that are available and the rules that you'll have to follow to be entered to win. So I just wanted to ask both Alicia and Isidro sort of their experiences, if at all, with working towards a specific prize. What has been that target prize? Who has been your audience, and what sort of promotions or strategies would you recommend?
I think so. I will say I think I'll talk a little bit about mine and what I've been seeing with the wonderful organizations that have been doing it. I think one thing that's always fun are the power hours, right? There's early ones and there's some in the middle of the day. Sometimes just remember that again, you can't promise anything or provide something for a donation, but that doesn't mean that you can't set up like a happy hour or do something creative, like doing something. And this again, this is creative and this is out of the box. So like doing something leading up to 12 a.m. So doing, like a karaoke night or doing a fun event somewhere. Get your donors there to get that early 12 to 1 a.m. Get donors in the same room now that we can meet again. One thing that we've also tried doing was like the 6 to 7 a.m. And so I committed all my board members to get up early, wake up at 5:30, and text you all the link to donate there. And then once I do that, you have to make sure that everybody in your household donates. And then you have to send it to other people. Or sometimes it's like, okay, the brown bag power out. I have different board members who lead different organizations. Get 10 people into your office for lunch. Tell them you're going to lunch, get them to lunch, and then boom, tell them all to donate to Paso Giving Day. So those are some strategies for the power hours. For the one that we've also always had fun with is the global giver. And so we have a lot of military families who've taken our classes, who have connections across the world in different areas. So we always reach out to them for our global giver. This year, again, doing the peer-to-peer is going to be big. And so making sure that you have peers who are fundraisers, ambassadors who are ready to help you make money, raise money for your organization. So that's been our experience, and that's what I'm seeing in the field. And I think so many organizations are doing great jobs. This is partially a little competition, right? Like the power hours are fun competition. And so I'm gonna say it, take some other ideas, take some things, make it your own, fit them to your organization, and don't feel bad about it. At the end of the day, we're all here to raise money for wonderful, great causes. With over 200 nonprofit organizations, this is a really showing of you, while they're in competition, it shows the unity of the organizations. And so, taking time to plan those out, get out of the box, get creative, but also just remember to stick within the rules of Giving Day to make it fair.
And then just to add a little bit to that, so I've worked with teams in like winning a power hour before. So part of the communication strategy is really around like raising awareness that that's the power hour that we're going for. So making sure that like all of our staff, all of our board members and our volunteers know like, okay, we're really shooting for this one. There's a chance that we can win extra prize money. Please help us accomplish this one. I've also organized like special events during those times where like maybe there's an open house or a tour scheduled during that period, or maybe it's there's like a little breakfast or like some sort of like reception event to celebrate like we're trying to win this power hour. During that time, also doing a presentation, a call to action, letting folks know how their donations will make a difference. I've also organized a lot of my social media around like raising awareness during that hour where like maybe we schedule Facebook Live or Instagram Live, and it's every few minutes we're interviewing someone from our team, highlighting their department, how a donation to their program is going to make a difference. So even if it's not an event in person, you can also do a virtual event during that power hour. So that's been successful for us in the past, and like making sure that we have a lot of like social media posts that are saying like, we're going for this hour, like, you know, we've raised X amount during this hour already. We still have half an hour to go. Help us reach this. So giving folks updates as well, it gets them motivated to know like, okay, they've already raised this much, like, let me help them out. And then I think just being really visible and present during like the raffles, participating in the philanthropic photo. So trying to be as involved as possible, I think has helped us like win some prizes in the past. A lot of it is by chance, right? But just being there just gets your name in the hat. Even when I've worked with teams that are like a small department, so maybe it feels like it's hard for me personally to make it to all of these, seeing can a board member help represent us at the kickoff, or can I get a volunteer to participate in this one, just so that you're very visible. And then ahead of time, really planning out the philanthropic photo and making sure that we have those graphics ahead of time, that we took those photos, and that we're able to make sure that we schedule posts during those times as well. Has been really helpful.
Great, no, thank you both. So I'm responding to some questions in the chat, but if you have anything else that you wanted to ask, you're also welcome to email me. Victoria, I don't want to give you false information, but I do believe a small organization works with a budget of $250 and less. Medium is capped at 500,000, and then large organizations are beyond that. I think it's listed in the website information, but I can confirm that after the presentation. So I also just wanted to include a slide to prepare you all to also start answering questions that your donors might be asking. So who can give as part of El Paso Giving Day? How can they give, and when do they give? So one of the things that Isidro sort of talked to me about is, how do we sort of audit or, equip all of our donors to be successful and to make sure that their contributions are being made for your organization? So this is some information that you can find on the Giving Day website as part of our FAQs. But anyone can make a tax deductible donation to your organization. They can do it via credit card or debit card, or process an electronic bank draft or transfer of funds. Remember that donations are a minimum of $10. And we can also accept offline checks in the event your donor wants to come by and drop off a check. We just want to make sure that they make it to the Paso de Norte Community Foundation. And they can include a letter if they have multiple organizations they want to give to, or just a note on the memo line to ensure that we're allocating those funds correctly. And so, like I said, this information is listed on the Giving Day site, but you're also welcome to shoot me an email should you have questions. The time to give begins next week. Hopefully everyone knows the dates in their mind, but early giving begins October 13th. And Giving Day is of course October 20th. And I just want to talk a little bit more about post Giving Day. I just wanted to mention that all of the funds that are raised by each organization will be dispersed back out in that 6 to 8 week period mark. And that's just been a timeline that has worked for us in years past. That is why it is very important that we collect the correct bank account information for your organization. That way there's no bounce backs or chargebacks when we're trying to process those funds back out to you all. So if you want to take a second glance at your financial information in your page, you can always update it in case you maybe flip the routing and account number or are missing a digit. But I would just definitely ask everyone to double check that all of that info is correct. Again, you can also view your donations at the start of early giving and track what prizes you've received, any matches you've received if you've secured outside matching funds. And then of course you can export that Excel sheet so you can look at a more detailed report for all of your donors. And it captures, of course, their contact information should you like to, maybe personal thank you or anything like that. That function for exporting your donation report is accessible even after Giving Day. So if you're working on your audit for next year or a donor is requesting a thank you receipt and tax acknowledgement, you can access those donor reports and also resend receipts should anyone inquire about that. So I'm going to pause because I see some questions.
I do see a question asking on how to promote matching donor funds. And I did see another one. Again, you're not too late to get matching donor funds. If you have organizations, individuals that want to match your donations, that's wonderful. I think some wonderful ways, like on social media and your communication, is like saying, company X is matching our El Paso Giving Day donations up to X amount. Donate now to double the impact of your donation. Or company X is matching your donation dollar per dollar until we reach X amount. Donate now. Or also just saying, just also thanking the donors. We're getting matched up to $30,000. Help us reach $30,000 of match donation funds so that we can get $60,000. Different ways. This is, again, you also want to recognize your matching donor in all that messaging. Say, so-and-so is matching our funds, so-and-so is matching our funds. Doing a little shout out on social media is, we're gearing up for Giving Day, great news. We have matching funds of X amount from our wonderful donor, boom. And if it's a company, their logo, if it's a family, family name, the Macias family is matching $10,000 of our Giving Day donation. Will you help us meet the $10,000? So using that, different variations of that, but always doing your best to include the matching donor name and the number of up to how much they're donating. And Emma, Emma has a question. So we bring in our own matching funds from donors. That's an option. That's been an option for a few years. On the Giving Day website, there is some details about matching funds that are available this year. So taking a look at that. Again, there's various options for matching funds, but take a look at the prize website for what the Paso Community Foundation has for matching prizes. But if you're also able to get some, that's another wonderful way to impact your donor.
And just to add to that, I also think that it's a recognition opportunity. So like you see there, I mentioned, you can also do a shout out to those donors. You could even do like a little video recording with them, or even like interview them and write down their story. So you could interview them and find out why is it that they decided to donate to you all, why are they so excited, and they could share a message encouraging other people to donate. So that's a nice recognition for the donor who's providing the matching funds, even doing a video for them. And you can definitely like highlight them in your social media, in your newsletter, letting them know like, we're so thankful for this donor. This is what motivated them. This is why they're so excited to support us. Please join them in supporting our cause. And then I think it's also important to give folks updates, like letting them know like, okay, this person is willing to donate up to X amount. You can give live social media updates and let them know like, we're 50% of our goal to fulfilling this full match, or, you know, we're a quarter of the way, help us get there. When it happens, let them know like, we're so excited, thank you. With your support, we were able to meet like this full match. So I think giving those updates gets folks really excited about and motivated to get involved.
Yeah, and what's really exciting about the system, and Andrea can help you, is, and to answer the question that's coming in, if you get matching funds and they're entered into the system, it won't just show right away, oh, okay, this organization has 10,000. It'll show up throughout the day, dollar to dollar, until that amount is raised. And so you kind of get to see the growth and the impact of those matching funds. And so if you get those, and again, there's still time to get those, get with Andrea, make sure that they're in the back of the system. You're going to want to make sure that the matching donor isn't going to make the donation directly to your organization. They're going to make it to the Paso Norte Community Foundation, but they're going to make sure that's in the system and it's reflected to your organization. And that's very important, again, that it is, I believe there is a matching fund prize. And so if you're able to get matching funds to get that prize, make sure you follow those rules with Andrea.
Yeah, no, thank you, Isidro and Elisa, for answering those questions. And I'll just sort of scroll back to the first one. For all organizations, we currently have not made any announcements on matching fund gifts. So I would just encourage everyone to stay posted, should we have an announcement to share. But one of the things that we've been really encouraging nonprofits for several years now is to secure your own matching funds, which has been an ongoing incentive this year and last year. So there is a process, and I would just ask you, Emma, if you can shoot me an email, because there is a form that you will have to fill out with some instructions and rules to be eligible to be entered to win those matching fund raffle prizes. So go ahead, like I said, if you have a donor that can provide matching funds for your organization, there is just a little bit more time for you to get those set up. Just shoot me an email and I can give you some more direction. And then we had a question on if there were any restrictions to matching funds. I want to say no if I'm understanding your question correctly, but maybe you can ask me privately if you want, or shoot me an email as to any specific details you're talking about for that question. So I'm not too sure. I would say no. Can you put our email address in the chat? Oh, okay, maybe I wasn't understanding it correctly. Yes, so there is a minimum amount for matching fund gifts, and that's $1,000. So like I said, just shoot me an email and I can give you that information. Thank you, Isidro. I have my little my little elves helping me out. Thank you, thank you. So I'll keep an eye out on the chat and on my email for those questions. But I wanted to move forward with the presentation and just provide some more information. Like I've talked about before, like our speakers have mentioned before, we are so close and around the corner. So I just want to remind everyone to take a second look at our terms of service. One of the things that Isidro has mentioned is that we really want to ensure that we are not providing any goods or services for a donation. So you can host, a cute little event, you can bring people to happy hour, but we want to make sure we are not raffling any prizes or giving extra gifts to our donors for making their contribution. I would also encourage everybody to look at our FAQs. We go into a lot more detail should you have a specific question. And if it's not listed in the FAQs, just feel free to shoot me an email. Also very important, we have our resources tab, which we talked about earlier. It has our templates, our toolkits, our icons, our brand guidelines. And it also has all of the previous recordings and downloadable presentations from our prior workshops. So you can find all of that content and materials there. And then if you haven't had a chance, please look at our calendar. We have some upcoming events in the next week, and of course, Giving Day being October 20th. So should you be interested in participating in any of our special events, just take a peek and make sure you RSVP to be engaged. So part of that calendar, we have our announcement. So most importantly, our early Giving Day kickoff event is going to be hosted at Alamo Draft House here on the west side. We do have a RSVP link open now, so be sure if you're wanting to attend to RSVP. And we will have, of course, our Gator TV pitch competition, working together with our early Giving Day prize giveaways. So you want to be sure you're there to win those extra prize gifts from Las Palmas. We'll have drink tickets, we'll have popcorn, we'll have water. So it'll be a really nice evening for everyone to come together and celebrate kicking off Giving Day. And then post Giving Day that evening on October 20th, we will be hosting a special Paso Giving Day after party to really just cheers and celebrate on the success of the 7th annual Giving Day campaign. I forgot to include that, but that will be taking place on October 20th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Berkeley Cocktail Lounge here in downtown El Paso. So I think it's a really great opportunity for you to bring your board members, your staff, to thank them for all of their hard work. If you have a matching fund sponsor or just a donor that you would like to invite, that way they can see the room, get to know everybody, and really celebrate amongst the crowd for your organization and for all of the community success as well. And I think those are all of my announcements. I'm very thankful to our speakers and for everyone attending today's discussion. I hope that you all leave with some really helpful information. If you are still worried or concerned or have questions, I am available to help answer them. And yeah, if there's not anything else anyone wants to ask, I just want to give a round of applause, a thumbs up, a star, whatever you can do to say thank you to our speakers. And Isidro and Alicia, do you have anything else you want to add or to share to close this out?
Good luck, everybody, and super excited to be standing alongside all of you wonderful nonprofit organizations for Giving Day. And also just want to say thank you to Andrea and the Community Foundation, the president of the Community Foundation, for their wonderful work on making sure Giving Day is successful for us nonprofits. Very helpful and very exciting.
Yes, I just want to echo that. Thank you to the foundation for organizing this wonderful initiative. And I wish everyone the best of luck. This is a great way to just promote philanthropy in our community and raise awareness of different causes. So I wish you all the best.
Yay. Well, thank you, everyone. We will be in touch and I will see you all pretty soon. And have a great rest of your Thursday. So thank you all.